Okay, we're live. Good evening. This is Relatives Fight CPS. I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I practice in the area of representing parents and relatives in the CPS courts. And I'm here with my co-host, Georgette Truan. Georgette, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Georgette Truan. I am the co host for Relatives Fight CPS, where I advocate for grandparents' relatives' rights for placement.
All right, and tonight we're joined by a very special guest, a relative, a grandfather, Mr. Jesse Rosario. Jesse, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then tell us about your story and dealings with CPS.
Hi, my name is Jesse Rosario, and I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me. Um, I saw your video on YouTube, and I made a phone call, and I'm here now. So thank you.
All right, tell us a little bit about your story.
Um, my son, he his daughter's 2 years old. Ever since my son's daughter was born, DCMPP has custody over 2 years. Well, the state has her, and my son came about 2 months ago, 3 months ago, that if I want to come forward to adopt my granddaughter, I say sure, and it's been a process ever since. And the process, one caseworker called me and didn't really give me much details. She said, "You interested?" I said, "Yes." And then she didn't call for a couple of weeks or months. And then she called back, "Are you interested?" And then she asked me again. I said, "Yes." And then they changed the case. I said, "Yeah." They changed the caseworkers, and the current one that I'm working with made an appointment about 3 months ago to come with the other lady, which is, I guess, the adoption unit, to inspect my apartment. And they inspect my apartment. I've been here for 20 years, and I live with my 3 children. I have 6 kids and 2 grandkids, and I live with 3 now. My oldest daughter, my youngest daughter, and the middle child. And when they inspected the apartment, they said it was a lot of the adoption unit was like, it's a lot of clutter. We got to get rid of this clutter in the kitchen, the bathroom. And I told them okay, and they took pictures of my daughter's room, my youngest daughter and my other daughter, and they took pictures of my doorknob because it was a little like damaged, and they took pictures, I guess, my room. I had like bins and clothes, and so I didn't hear from them back. They said, "We're gonna come back when you clean. We'll come back." I go, okay. So I was taking my time to clean because they didn't give me a time, date, a frame. They didn't really say much. So I was taking my time cleaning, and then the lady, my son's caseworker, she goes, "Do you need help cleaning? Do you need a cleaning service to come clean your apartment?" I go, "Yes, sure." So she hired some cleaning service. They came. They had body cameras on. They didn't tell me they were going to wear body cameras. They never said if they never asked me if it's okay to record. So they got a couple of bins. It was like a man and a woman. It was like 4 or 5 of them, and a man and a woman stay. They helped. I was here. My kids were here. My oldest daughter, my youngest daughter, she's 16. She was here, and my oldest son. So everything got, you know, straightened out with bins. But my daughter, she has anxiety. 16-year-old daughter. She had, and prior to this, I told my son's caseworker that my daughter's room was messy, that it's clothes in the floor. And I didn't answer her text. And then she sent me a text because it passed a week when they came to clean the apartment. It'd been a week. And she texted me, but I was busy, the caseworker. So I didn't answer the text right away. And she said, I've been texting you. You should have. She sent me like a little kind of like, wasn't pleasant text. Why you didn't tell us? We could have ruled you out. You're not answering my text. And I go, okay, I'm here. And she say, when can we come? I say, next Monday you could come. Okay, we'll be there. So I told her about my daughter that the clothes were in the floor. Is this okay? She goes, sure, that's fine. So then they came to inspect their apartment again. And not too long ago, about 3 weeks ago. And I opened the door and I didn't know anything. I had my body camera on because I saw the cleaning service having body camera on. So I'm thinking, okay, they got body cameras on. Let me put my body camera on. So I put my body camera on when I opened the door. I didn't let them know. And they looked at my apartment. They said everything was clean. And then I stayed in the kitchen. And they were looking at my 16-year-old daughter's room. And I was in the kitchen. And so it passed like 5 minutes to like, and I was like, something's wrong. Let me walk in the hallway. And there was interviewing my 16-year-old daughter. And I say, well, you didn't say you was going to interview my 16-year-old daughter. Is everything okay? And then they stop. And then they say, well, they talked to me in the kitchen. It was like, well, this is part of the process. And then they say, do you have a body camera on? And I go, yes. And then they say, well, you had to let us know. And then she said, well, you're not supposed to. And then I say, and then they asked me, why are you recording? I said, oh, it's for my granddaughter. And then I asked, did I pass inspection? And then the adoption unit lady was like, the bathroom has mold and your daughter's room's got to get cleaned up. And that was the last time I heard of them. And it's been like a week or two. And then the caseworker, my son's caseworker, sent me an email that I need a doctor's note for my 16-year-old to see how they feel my granddaughter is able to share a room with my 16-year-old. How's like a doctor's note and her diagnosis. So I haven't done anything, and that's when I was seeking some help, and I went on YouTube and I saw your talk, and it caught my attention, the one with Johnny Carkin, when you say when somebody come into your house and they take $10,000, you're going to call a lawyer, and that caught my attention. And ever since that day, I've been thinking about your talk because I was researching what's the proper step for my granddaughter, because I love when you talked on YouTube, you was like, 2 years? It shouldn't be taking 2 years to get your granddaughter. And that caught my attention. And that's what made me call this hotline, your number for help, because you say that you would love to help, and please call with any questions. So I call and I'm here, and I haven't done anything with the email or answer the caseworker's call because I want to make sure I'm doing everything and complying correctly because it's about my granddaughter. So I don't know if I went on long enough but that's where I'm at now. So I ended up being here to seek some kind of direction.
But Jesse, you said your granddaughter is 16, correct?
No, I'm sorry. My granddaughter's 2 years old. My
No, the
daughter
other one.
is 16.
Okay.
And I haven't get a reply from the adoption unit. It was only an email from the caseworker, my son's caseworker. So she's just been blowing up my phone, sending me texts. Did you get my email? But again, I don't know where to start with this because it's about my granddaughter. It's not about my 16-year-old daughter. So now they bringing in my 16-year-old daughter. So I don't know.
Yeah, Vincent, isn't she old enough not to be forced to go with them? I thought it was 13 and up, that they cannot force a child to go with the social worker.
Well, the child didn't go with the social worker. They were just talking to the social worker. They probably shouldn't have talked to the teenager without Jesse's permission. She is a minor.
But they're coming after her. Am I right, Jesse?
They want a school note, and they want a therapist to write a letter, her diagnose, and they want the doctor's opinion. What's the therapist's opinion on my granddaughter sharing a room with her, how the doctor feels about it. That's what they give me. Yeah.
So, Jesse, this is what I would suggest that you do. I would suggest that in your area, you contact an attorney that has experience in the CPS courts. All right? And you talk to that attorney and find out what are the things that you need to file with the court to accelerate or somehow increase your odds of getting your granddaughter placed with you. If you were in California, where I am, you would file a de facto motion. You would file a 388 petition to have the child placed with you. You might even file a presumed parent status motion. And by the way, that de facto motion should be, if you didn't take care of the child, you can change it to what they call a Charles S. motion, where there's some language in Charles S. I just had a discussion with a court not too long ago about what Charles S. says. And Charles S. says, in my reading of the opinion, says, if you're a relative, if you're a blood relative, and you have an interest in the child, that's enough for you to get standing in the case. Now, what type of standing, people go back and forth. It's almost like, how many angels dance on the head of a pin. Standing, in my opinion, is just standing. You have certain rights and you can present evidence and make legal arguments with an attorney. So those are the things that you want to do. Also in California, I'd file a petition to disclose the records because all of these records are confidential. So you need to see what's being filed about you and about this child. But it seems like there is a hesitancy for some reason about social workers and or judges to place children with relatives. And I'm not sure why, because in California, there's a code section that's very clear about placing children and with relatives and investigating these relatives. Just today, I asked for a judge to order an international ICPC, and he ruled that he wouldn't do it until the jurisdictional or dispositional hearing. And I've been told, I'm going to have to check this out for myself, but I've been told by an expert in this area of law that you don't need to wait for that. And although today it seemed as if the court didn't rely on any particular statute or law, but indicated the common practice of how states and people react and the time it takes to do an ICPC. I thought the sooner the better, right? Especially if it was an international ICPC. Luckily, I have the grandmother coming from this foreign country, and she'll be here October 2nd or 3rd. She's going to have her own place, or maybe even live in the mother's home while the mother moves out, and hopefully get this child. But for some reason, and it wasn't just today, but for some reason, I get this feeling that placing children with relatives, unless the social worker wants to do it, is, kind of frowned upon. And I'm not sure why. Because in California, the law is not whether the social worker wants to do it. The law says, if they're relatives, we should place with the relatives if they're appropriate. And a lot of these people are appropriate. Jesse, I don't know your background, but assuming, you have a clean background, you have other children, you've raised 6 children so far. I mean, why don't you have this child? Why are they putting you through the ringer to try to get this child? Now, here's something else I would do, and I would talk to your attorney about. You told me before the show while we were waiting that you have how many brothers and sisters?
I have 10 brothers and 3 sisters.
So that's a lot of people. And what I would do is I would tell them to contact the social worker to see if the child can be placed with them. As a matter of fact, it's not so secret anymore, but one of my strategies that I do is I get 25 names of relatives and family friends of people that live anywhere in the world, and I submit those to the court or submit them to the CPS social worker and say, there's section 309, and by the way, please investigate all of these people. I've told this story before, but several years ago when I did that in a case, the county counsel, the attorney for the social worker, says in court accusatorily, and Mr. Davis gave us 25 names to investigate. Can you believe that? And the judge said something to the extent that I was harassing the social worker. And I was thinking, there's no number limit with Section 309. The Supreme Court of the United States tells us placement with children with relatives is like one of the most important things in the world. And I think there are California courts that have said, placing with family is what makes all of this constitutionally sound. Taking these kids and placing them in strange foster homes. It's almost as if we want to reward foster parents, right? I don't know if you know this, foster parents get paid.
Vincent, if I may add something, the reason they also force family members to become foster parents is because they do. This is what I found out. I found out that they have to be placed in a foster care unit because they get more funding that way. They get more funding if the children are in foster home. That's why they tell other parents, family members, they have to be foster parents before they can have placement. But then if they object and they have a clean background and no criminal history, then they don't want to put the children with them. They force them to be foster parents.
For anybody that's interested, and Jesse, if you're interested, there is a video of a deposition of basically the chief financial officer of CPS from Orange County that's on the internet. And this attorney basically questions the social worker about how CPS makes its money from the federal government. And it's basically by taking children away. The more children they take away, the more money they make. Arnold Schwarzenegger had a commission study when he was the governor, and they came out and said, the financial incentives in these cases are they're misplaced. The financial incentives are taking the child away instead of keeping the child with family or with the parents. I was in a case the other day, and I was trying to get a child moved to relatives, and the relatives had come to court very late in the game. And the social worker was testifying about how, it's so detrimental to remove a child from the foster family. And I said, well, we remove thousands of kids every day from their parents. So that's all detrimental, and I have seen some case law, old case law that says that when we remove kids from parents, that we should be considering the emotional effect of the child versus the physical risk of staying with the parent, right? I rarely see that analysis done in detention cases. And if it is done, it's not mentioned, right? Perhaps the judicial officer does consider that, but I don't recall ever hearing that, or rarely hearing it, as a basis for of, well, I'm going to decide to keep the kid with the parents or decide to take the kid away from the parents, without even acknowledging on the record that if I take this kid, this 6-year-old kid or 2-year-old kid or whatever, away from the parent, what type of emotional harm is that going to cause the child? I mean, it seems like we do that just routinely. And it's like no consideration. Oh, well, they'll be all right. It's a licensed foster home. As I've told people many times, years ago, I used to represent foster parents accused of child abuse. And those cases are administrative cases in California. They're in a different courthouse with an administrative law judge, and people in the CPS courthouse don't know anything about it. So, I mean, you'd be shocked about the type of abuse foster parents allegedly do on foster children. I mean, it seems like every day I get at least 1 or 2 calls from people that were foster children or parents that had children in foster homes, telling me about how the kid was abused, not just physically or emotionally, but sometimes sexually. I have a case, someone called us today about a child who was killed in foster care. Now, that can't be worse than leaving the kid with the parents who were having domestic violence.
And verbal, mind you not. Sometimes it's even just verbal agreement. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's tough. It's a very tough situation. And, it's safe to take kids away from parents and put them in foster care. Right? Many years ago, there was a judge who, against social workers' recommendation, returned, I think it was 3 or 4 children to a mother. All right. And the mother ended up killing the children. That judge was put through the ringer, called to testify in Sacramento, blah, 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 blah. Because the social worker recommended don't do it.
Oh, God.
Turned out the social worker was right in that case.
How many years ago was that?
Oh, it's been maybe 15, 20 years ago.
There you go. A lot has changed.
No, a lot hasn't changed. People are still people. You don't know, if you're a judge, you don't know what's going to happen to these kids if you leave them in the home. You don't know. But the problem is you don't know what's happening to kids in foster care. That's the big problem. There's just this assumption that they're in foster home and everything's going to be A-okay. Not true.
I would like to say something. The definition of stupid is knowing the truth, seeing evidence of this truth, but still believe a lie. That's what I think of the court system all over the United States of America. They see evidence. They see the truth, but they still believe a lie. I know that your viewpoint is different when it comes to that, but that's how I feel about all of them. Because for some reason, they have no common sense. They place children with the wrong parent or the wrong foster home, but yet take children from great mothers who have no priors, who have no nothing, who don't even have a traffic ticket. So you tell me where the sense in all this. The mother shows them proof, enormous proof and evidence, and they still tend to believe the lie. So where is the good mothers in all this? Where is the good dads in all this? But they're focused on a judge making the bad decision, as they usually do, with a mother, and they didn't listen to the social worker. So now they're flipping the story, saying, "Well, we have to listen to the social worker now, even if the social worker is a liar." It's ridiculous. So how is that happening? The parents have evidence, but the judge is not reviewing the case, but they believe a scumbag that wants to take the child from a mom or a dad because the mom and the dad, they just don't like her. She doesn't like them. This is not a popularity contest. This is children. This is not who you like, who you don't like. I don't give a crap about all that. What really matters is the children. If a child is abused, they wouldn't want to leave the mom. So if a child, if a child is abused, they would want to leave the mother's home or the father's home. But if the child is
That's not necessarily true.
really,
Yeah, there's a lot of been studies on that. Even abused children sometimes want to remain with the parent. Look at this. Do abused women remain with their spouse who's abusing them?
that's because the spouses that abuse women like that are ones who are narcissistic, sociopathic, who control their mind first. They control their psyche first, even
Right.
if the woman is educated.
It's a very complex question. It's a very complex issue. I understand your position, and I'm not saying I totally disagree with it. But having done thousands of these cases, all over California, and having talked to hundreds and hundreds of people all over the United States, even, Canada, the UK, Australia, New Zealand, it's a lot more complex. And one of the things that I learned at the Jerry Spence Trial Lawyers College is you cannot, first of all, your job is to win a case.
Mhm.
And guess what? The worst strategy for you to go into court is to look at the case through your own glasses. That's the worst strategy in the world. You need to look at the case through the judge's glasses, through the social worker's glasses, through the other attorney's glasses, and then come up with a strategy and a plan. Because look, Georgette, everybody has their own agenda. And guess what? It's not the same as yours.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean they're right or wrong.
Mhm.
That doesn't necessarily mean they're corrupt or lazy.
Oh God.
It could mean a lot of different things,
Yeah.
right?
You know,
But hold on a second. Getting back to Jesse, who's our special guest.
sorry, Jesse.
I mean, let's deal. Look,
Oh my God. They piss me off, Jesse. I'm sorry. They just get under my skin.
look at what Christina Cruz says. Listen to her.
Thank you, Christina. See, he doesn't listen to me. Oh my God.
Okay, Jesse, I gave you a list of things to do. Did you write those down?
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. Now let me tell you the easiest way to find an attorney in your area, okay? The easiest way is Google. Google CPS attorney or CPS defense attorney, and it will come up with recommendations in your area. My friend, Google knows all.
Yeah, but I actually, juvenile dependency attorneys, when you Google that, I've noticed, I've helped a couple of people last week, it gives you more listing for some reason. I don't know. I tried both. But if you type in juvenile dependency attorney, you will get it.
Okay. Now, the other thing that you can do is you can call your local county bar association or state bar association.
Mhm.
Okay. And you can ask them for referrals for juvenile dependency or CPS lawyers. And they can actually give you someone where you can go for a no cost or low cost, consultation. Well, look at this one, Carissa. Georgette is correct.
Yep. I told you, juvenile dependency attorney, you find more listing than if you just put CPS attorney.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jamie May says, I have searched there. There's none in my area. So then what do I do? You broaden your search, okay, to outside your county. So I don't know if you're familiar with California, but I'm in Southern California, and people call me all the time from all over California. California's a big state. I get calls from the very tip of California in the north.
Mhm.
So widen your search, okay? Same thing for you, Jesse. Widen that search,
Mhm.
okay?
I would like to add something to the previous communication we had, Jesse. Um, Davis, with the children not wanting to go, or the children can also want to stay with the abusive parent. That's only if the abusive parent is threatening the children to, if they go against them, then they will not see their mother again. So there's a lot of different angles that a narcissist will take to use his children to keep them away from one parent. However, our court system, our judicial court system, the judges, the workers, I feel like 95% of them are narcissists. And in fact, the judges are not aware how to tell a narcissist's behavior in court. They can look at two parents, one mother who's hysterical, she didn't do anything, and the father, the other party is so calm, and they think, oh, the calm one is the good one, because they're calm. But they don't understand why they're calm. They're dangerous when they're calm because they lie convincingly under oath. While the mother is swearing up and down, there's nothing wrong she's done. But yet the court system can't distinguish between a narcissist, a sociopathic, and a good parent. So that's very important also to understand. And I wish to God they can learn about different types of human behavior and be able to distinguish between the two. And social workers, shame on you. Really, shame on you.
Okay, so I have a question for you, Georgette.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesse, you may want to think about this. Let's assume Georgette is 100% correct, which I would never
Ever say, ever,
never say.
ever.
Let's assume she's 100%. Now, here's the question, Georgette.
Mm-hmm.
Now what?
Well, now I am starting, like I said, I'm working on a petition to get it signed. I actually have a group of moms who's helping me with the petition, and we're going to demand that they all wear body cameras when they speak to our children, and when they speak to the father and mother, threatening them that if they don't sign a safety plan, they will never see their children again. When in fact, the father and mother don't have to do that. In fact, they should not even go to the parents' house without a court order. Okay, they should not threaten them. They need a body camera on them at all times, and that body camera needs to be in court as evidence.
Okay, but you're not answering my question.
But that's what I'm trying to do to make a change. We can't get rid of them. How are you going to get rid of CPS?
What are you going to tell me again? What are you trying to do?
To force them to wear body cameras and to vote the wrong judges out and replace them with the right judges that will actually fight for family placement and family rights, to actually will do the right thing.
And what are you doing in order to make these changes?
I am starting a petition with 7 other moms, and we are finishing it up, and we just need some more time. That's all.
Now, is this petition going to be for the state of California? Other states? What?
No, for all the United States of America.
And where are you going to send this petition after you get the signatures?
I am going to have a link to it, and I'm going to paste it for everybody to sign.
And then what?
That part, I was going to get back with you on that part. That was the question I was going to ask you after it's done. So I can't answer that right now, Mr. Davis. That's your department.
Okay. Well, you get that petition going. As I told you, we have a website that's coming out that's going to try to effectuate change in terms of laws, in terms of electing the right officials, because that's the only way things can change. This system, with its good things and bad things, it's a system that's been around for a long time. And
but they were
It's
not
hard.
funding that much. They were not funded as much as a long time ago, Vince. And I am 52 years old. I fell so many times on the skateboard and biking and this and that. My mom never once had a social worker come to the house because I fell and I scraped my knee and all of a sudden, oh, it's the mother. She neglected the child. No, that has nothing to do with them. It wasn't that bad, Vincent, until Bill Clinton took office, and then he gave them immunity and funding. And then so far, and nobody has ever taken that away from them.
He didn't give them immunity.
That's what Nancy Schaefer said, actually, in her videos. She was a senator for Georgia.
No. The Supreme Court ruled 5-4 in the late 80s or early 90s that Washington's law giving social workers qualified immunity was constitutional. And then, of course, all the other states jumped on the bandwagon and passed similar laws because they were getting tired of paying out hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars for lawsuits against social workers.
Yeah, but they're also taking the money from the taxpayers too. Every time they're being sued, they're taking money from the taxpayers. So taxpayers think that CPS is important, but once they come take their children from them, then they're going to change their mind completely. I have a couple of friends that I went to school with, and they said to me that social workers would not just take a child for no reason. I said to them, okay, one day you'll see. One of them called me 2 months ago, in fact, and she told me her children were removed because of allegation from her ex-mother-in-law. And she told me now she feels how other mothers feels. And she's not a bad mom. She just judged people a lot. So now she's tasting of her own medicine. She's now realizing how it feels like being lied at and being accused for no reason. So the system doesn't work, Vincent. The system doesn't work. I hate to say this, but the system doesn't work. But you like to say otherwise because I understand. But the system is not going to work until they do the right thing. That's the only time the system works.
Do you know of anything in the world or in life where they do the right thing? Thank you for that answer. Hey, Jesse.
You always put me on the spot. That's not fair. That's not even a good That's not a good question, Vincent. That's not a good question.
I know.
We're talking about kids. We're not talking about anything else.
Right. Okay.
They're making money off of children, Vincent. That's the point I'm trying to do.
Jesse, I want to get back to our special guest. Did you have any other questions that you wanted to ask me?
Well, I have joint custody with my son, my grandson, my son's son. He's going to turn 14, and he lives with my niece in Pennsylvania. So I want to thank you so much because I got a big family, cousins, and a big family. So thank you for that idea. And I don't have no criminal background, no arrests. My background is super clean.
You know what? The other thing I want to tell you that after everybody sends in their name and number, if they're not being seriously considered, what you should do is file a complaint with the federal government, the Department of Health and Human Services, because in Washington, D.C., they think that social workers are following the law and placing children with relatives. And I'm not sure that's happening as much as they think it is. But you can file a complaint there as well. And you can file a complaint with the U.S. Department of Justice, the Civil Rights Division. Hey, Jesse, I want to thank you for being a guest tonight. If you don't have any further questions, I'm going to go to our people posting comments. It's kind of going crazy on these 8 different social media sites and try to answer some questions. Okay, Jesse?
Thank you.
Thank you. And keep in touch, Jesse. We might have you back, or you might want to call and give us an update. Okay?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Good night. All right. For the last few minutes, people have asked me to answer questions. So starting now, I'm going to answer questions. All right, here we go. Alyssa at Vincent W. Davis. Yesterday was my 366.26 hearing. but the social worker recommended there be another 366.26 hearing set 120 days from yesterday again. Is this normal? Is this good for me, the mother? First of all, is it normal? Not really. Have I seen it happen? Yes, I've seen it happen. And there's a variety of reasons why it could happen. And is this good for you? Yes, because it increases the amount of time that you have in order to get the child or the children back in your custody by filing perhaps a 388 petition to get more family reunification services, to get more frequent or visitation and longer in duration, or maybe unmonitored visitation or unsupervised visitation. So yes, please, Alyssa, use this 120 days to your advantage. Don't sit around and just wait for the 120 days. The other thing is, since you're using the number 366.26 hearing, I know that you're in California because that's a California law. And what I would do is I would talk to my attorney to find out what you need to do to win a 366.26 hearing 120 days from now. Start with a strategy and start with a plan and develop those defenses now. Okay, Alyssa, I hope that answers your question. Okay. Here's a question from Jamie May. Can CPS take my son if I get him when I sign over my rights to other kids? My son is 7 weeks old and my assessment will be closed in 2 weeks. Okay, Jamie May, I'm sorry, I don't quite understand that question. Do you have any translation, Georgette?
No, I don't actually.
Okay. Okay, here's Brittany. Brittany says, I lost my parental rights. I just had a newborn. They took him because of that termination. Having a negative drug test in the hospital, what can I do to get my son back? Well, you're going to have to get with your attorney and come up with a strategy and a plan to make sure that you can get this child back. Can they take your child because you lost, a previous child? Technically they can, doesn't mean they should, doesn't mean they have the evidence to, but you're entitled to a trial, a jurisdictional and dispositional trial, and that's what they call it if you're in California, and you can prove that there are no allegations that are true against you or that prior problems have been remediated, and that if you're in California at the disposition that you're not a substantial danger to the child by clear and convincing evidence. One of the things to throw in as a wrench, Brittany, is to make sure that you give 25 names of relatives and friends that live anywhere in the world that could take care of this child, because the preference under Section 309, and probably, I don't know what the section is in your state, is that kids be placed with relatives or family friends. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, Vincent, why do they come after? Okay, if the woman or the man clean themselves, right? There are no drugs for
Well,
years.
that's a big if. That's a big if. Right? So if they have resolved their problem and they still take the child away from them, the likelihood is that they're going to win at the time of trial, the jurisdictional or dispositional trial. Should they have gone through this? Probably not. Do people go through this all the time? So, like I was trying to tell you earlier, there's no need to complain and cry about it. What are you going to do? What are you going to do to win?
Mhm.
I had an hour-long texting conversation today with a client. And at several points in time, we were discussing something that had actually nothing to do with her case.
Mhm.
And I told her, I said, hey, do you want to spend time talking about this, or would you rather talk about how we're going to win your case? Right? And I said this 3 or 4 times, but of course, she had and we had gone off on a tangent about something. Did Trump win the election or didn't he? We can talk about that for days,
Mhm.
for hours.
Mhm.
There's, 250 million people that think that Trump won the election. There's 250 million that think Biden won. If we got a case, we're not sitting around having a drink or eating dinner and just making conversation. We're trying to win a case. So let's focus on winning a case.
I agree.
All right. So Julie says, my judge has not filed the fact-finding decision in the county clerk's or records room. It was 32 months for the fact-finding to finalize, and it's been over 90 days since it's been concluded. Okay, Julie, so this is probably a unique question for your state and your law. So I'm not familiar with all of these different issues, but I know if something like that happened in California, what I would do is file an appeal or a writ, an emergency writ, to try to force the judge to take action to make a decision. But, there's always a strategy, pros and cons behind that. That's something you have to talk to your lawyer. Assuming you have a court-appointed lawyer or a private lawyer, this is something that you should be talking with him or her about.
Mhm.
All right.
No court-appointed attorney. I like to call them public pretenders. They really do not return anybody's calls. Just FYI, they don't.
First of all, let me tell you something.
Hmm.
There are a lot of good court-appointed attorneys. The problem is that when you get a call, you don't get a call from somebody that's happy with their court-appointed attorney. By definition, because of what you do, you only get those calls where the court-appointed attorney probably didn't call back. I used to be a court-appointed attorney. I know court-appointed attorneys.
We're not talking about you, Vincent. We're not talking. You're not that kind of. You're not that kind of breed.
But you can't just say that all court-appointed attorneys are bad. First of all, you don't have any information to back that up. There might be 1,000 court-appointed attorneys in LA. How many have you dealt with? 5, 4, 2? So, in other words, your statistical.
But everybody have the same response back.
But
Everybody.
Georgette, you don't get calls from people that say, I have a great public defender.
I got one call.
You don't get those calls.
I just got one. That's it.
Yeah.
One.
But think about what you do. You get calls from people that aren't happy with their public defender. If a person is happy with their public defender, they don't need to call you. They don't need to call me. Think about it.
Yeah, but how about when public defenders tell a parent that they have to plead guilty when they're not guilty in order for them to get the child, and the parent pleads guilty so he or she can get the child, and they still don't get the child, but then the attorney says, well, you listened to me, you didn't have to. Why would we do that?
Look at Jessica, what Jessica says. I actually have a good public defender. I know it's a shocker, right? She responds to every email, but as for my workers, pure trash, and even this lawyer won't go up against their lies.
That's a good one, Jessica. Why is the attorney afraid to fight this or go against the social worker's lies in the report? Why are they stay silent? Why is that?
So here's Joe. Court-appointed attorneys screwed me. Okay.
Yep.
We hear that all the time. But for you to say, I'm a lawyer. First of all, I'm a lawyer. Words have meanings. They mean what you say. You have to be careful about what you say. It's like, I'm half African American. It's like somebody saying all African Americans are lazy. Well, we know that's not true.
Okay, no, this is completely different. Okay, we're not. Okay, court-appointed attorneys work for the state. They actually
they don't.
Who do they work for? Who do they work for?
Private firms that have a contract.
Okay. They have a contract with who?
Usually the county.
Okay, they have a contract with the county, and guess what? They all go out together, drink together, socialize together. So come on, Vincent, don't. They all connected together. They're all connected together.
Sometimes that's true. Sometimes it's not true.
Sometimes I
Yeah.
understand, but I'm talking. I'm saying it how I see it, and maybe because you're an attorney, you're not that kind of guy. You're not seeing it the way I'm seeing it. They're all connected together. That's why they are afraid to go against the social workers. They're actually afraid to speak the truth about their client to the judge because they don't want to go against their social workers. That's not right.
Here's Jessica again. My lawyer has her own firm.
Okay, great, Jessica. I'm just happy for you.
But Georgia, you have to be careful
Not
because
not everybody has it that great. Not everybody has it that great.
right. Because here's Christina. Christina
Mhm.
says I had 5 or more public pretenders, and none of them did their job.
Exactly.
But I tell people all the time, you have a group of people. There's some really good, there's some really bad, and there's some in the middle. It's like everything in life.
Hmm.
Everything in life can be described on a bell curve of statistics. Do you ever see that TV show called Numbers?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Everything the guy did is related to numbers.
That's true.
It's the same. It's the same.
So our kids are numbers in the system. The mother is a different number, the kid has a different number, the father has a different number, and they're all divided. They divide the family apart, which is really sad because social workers actually don't do anything right. I don't care what anybody says. They're all have no souls because they go take kids from families smiling, happy. That's not right. Social workers are not, they're not good people. They really are not.
Oh, I've met a lot of social workers that are excellent social workers.
Please give me their names. I would love to speak with them. Since you've known so many nice social workers, I would really like, I would like to speak with them. Let them change my mind. Because
How
honestly,
many people
wow.
call you? How many people call you and say, "Hey, Georgette, I have my kids at home. My social worker is doing a good job,
Mm-mm.
and I'm just calling to say hello, Georgette." How many people call you and tell you that? Zero.
Because
Absolutely.
they don't do that, Vincent. You're in a reality that is not
there's
real.
there's maybe 500,000 cases in LA County.
Mm-mm.
You get maybe 1% of those calls.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they change social workers around. You know why they change so many social workers? First, you get the nice one, then you get the bitchy one, then you get the mean one, then you get the narcotic one or psychotic one, then so you have like 10 different social workers. So maybe the one you're talking about, Vincent, is one of the nice ones that they say either they left the county or they got fired or whatever. So where is that nice one that actually understood the case? Why do they change her or him rapidly and send a very unpleasant one who is just blaming the families for no reason?
Okay, look at Bella says, Vince, I respect you very much, but Georgette speaks facts. That's why she gets the most viewership of all the CPS shows. I like that she spits the truth and says it for us.
Yep. Thank you very much, Bella.
Bella, thank you for that comment.
But like I said, that's exactly, the social workers change a lot. You get it, right? They change a lot.
Brittany Marie says exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
It's true. So maybe you have the 2 nice ones that were fired supposedly from the county. Where are they? So why they all get fired? Every state, everyone I speak with, my social worker was nice, she was fired. And they get me this one. I'm like, but why was she fired? Why? Wouldn't know. But everybody have the same story? Are you kidding me right now? Everybody I talk to, over 50, 75 people a day, and they all have the same story? I don't think so. It has to be facts. It's the truth. So they can mislead the people, right? Mislead them and twist the whole thing around. And the mother and the father are left like in the twilight zone. They don't even know what's going on. So yeah, there is no so nice social workers. It's just a facade. They play nice, like the good cup, bad cup. The good, bad. But what's inside them is darkness, really, truthfully. That's that.
Hey, Bella, let me ask you a question. What state are you in? Post that for me, would you please? While she's doing that, Miss Truan, we're coming to the end of our time together tonight. Is there anything that you want to ask me or talk about?
No, but I would like to tell the viewers not to give up, not to give up, and we're gonna kick their asses. Believe me, it's gonna happen.
Yes. Okay. Oh, Bella's from California. Hey,
I would
Bella.
love to speak with you, Bella.
Hey, Bella, I want you to do me a favor and call this number you see on the screen, and I want you to speak to Georgette. Okay? I want you to speak to Georgette because we are actively looking for other co-hosts for different shows that we're putting out. Right now, I think in about a week, we're going to have a different show 7 nights a week, or 7 days a week. And then the next step is to have shows during the day because of our viewers on the East Coast. You know, it's 11 o'clock, right? And so we're going to start doing things during the day. One of our largest shows that we have is CPS, the horror stories. And that's, goes during the day and afternoon, and a lot more people are able to watch it and listen to it. Okay. Tomorrow night, what's tomorrow night? Thursday night show at 7 p.m. is Fight CPS, the Civil Rights Struggle. So if you have any questions or stories about a lawsuit against a social worker or a county or state, please tune in and watch us. And I want to thank everybody for watching tonight. Ms. Truan, I want to thank you for being my co-host tonight. I appreciate your reviews. I really do. I don't agree with all of them, but I do appreciate your views.
Thank you.
Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, right? It's America. Right. Okay. So thank you everyone for watching. Good night, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
Good night, everyone.